Hello, So You Think You Can Dance fans. I'm Gold Derby senior editor Daniel Montgomery here with my fellow senior editor Susan Wloszczyna. We are talking the day after the top 10 perform round 2, which ended in the first elimination of the season. For me, it was both not surprising and very surprising. So I want to get us started right off the bat with that. Eddie Hoyt, the tap dancer, who struggled with jazz funk last week, had a much better contemporary dance this week, but it wasn't enough. He was eliminated. And Ezra Sosa was also in the bottom 2 for the men. For the women, Anna Lindstruth and Stephanie Sosa were in the bottom 2. And the judges sent home Stephanie, which I did not understand at all. So first of all, Susan, what was your take on those eliminations? I know you were rooting for Eddie especially.
I knew this was going to come for him because I could see he really tried, but it was nothing like what the other people were doing as in terms of, the standards they set. I mean, and it's too bad because I want a tap dancer so badly. But I don't think they even get to the point where they even considered that anyone else would be tapping. So. But yeah, I thought Stephanie, I was shocked at that they didn't like her because I don't know why, except I didn't like the routine, particularly she did last week. So I think maybe that kind of worked against her.
Yeah, I thought I liked the routine, the hip hop routine with Gino, her partner, last week better than the judges did, and I think I liked it better than you did. But even then, I think the judges' only criticism of that routine at the time was Gino's performance. Like, he didn't have enough personality. They were giving high marks for that one. And then this week she performed a jive with Gino. They were both fantastic. This time I think maybe he was more the star of that number, but still she was fantastic. And the interesting thing wasn't, someone's good is going to go home because it's the top 10. Everyone is good. But I don't think Anna ever got the level of positive reviews even from the judges that Stephanie had gotten. And also Lorianne had told Anna this week when Anna did hip hop, which is her personal style, her genre, that she didn't bring enough. She didn't have enough enough presence or energy. Which they did say it was a split decision, that only one person disagreed about setting home Stephanie, and that must have been Lorianne. But I don't know how the other 3 kept Anna and not Stephanie, given the critiques. I think they're both really good, but between the two of them, it seems surprising that of all people to send Stephanie home against, that they would make the point to keep Anna around. That was a surprise to me.
Yeah. So then I guess Anna will be paired with Ezra. Or maybe not.
Anna. So who? I'm trying to do the calculus on who's left. So, Gino's partner was eliminated, so he'll probably be paired with Sophie, who because Eddie was eliminated. So
that's right. Okay, it's hard.
I lost track. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, because Ezra goes back with Madison, and presumably, unless they switch everybody around.
That's right. He was with her. No, I keep thinking the sister and brother were dancing. They wouldn't do that, I don't think.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting because if that's the case, then Gino and Sophie, it would be 2 contemporary dancers on a team together. So that'll be interesting to see if they get contemporary dances down the line. It would, it'll be a little bit like how I keep complaining that they keep giving Madison styles that are too close to what she's already good at. And this week they did let her a little bit out of her comfort zone, but I need to see Madison do a hip hop routine or a really kind of fast paced ballroom routine like a jive or something like that. I want to see all of those other things that are in Madison's capability, because I know she has it in her, but they're just not pushing her in that direction. although they did push her stylistically this week, in terms of the tone of the routine week. And I know you liked that one. Why don't you talk about that routine?
We'll talk about your favorite too, which I also enjoyed. But by the way, I voted for the first time since Adam Lambert. Okay. I like Madison a whole lot this week, and Ezra was great. And here's the thing, it combined like two flavors, showbiz flavors I love. The Full Monty is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that song is the song that they stripped to at the end.
Yeah, you can leave your hat on.
Jones, not Joe. I would have preferred Tom Jones, but Joe Cocker's okay. And then the whole Bob Fosse vibe and sexiness about it. She really sold it. And I think she might be my favorite right now. So they both got my votes, but you can tell about your favorite, and I also voted for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will get to those, but I don't want to move away from Ezra and Madison before pointing out Dominic Dietrich Sandoval's very pointed critique about being really admiring of Ezra's shiny chest or something, which I was just like, okay. He's still a teenager, so watch it, but okay.
I didn't vote for his chest. I voted for his talent. So
I mean, you can vote for both. I'm sure Dominic did as well.
I think Benjamin is a good-looking lad, but a little too young to think about that. So I didn't vote for him. But no, I didn't.
Shiny and beautiful chest. I wrote it down, so I wanted to make sure I get it. Dietrich was very into the shiny and beautiful chest of Ezra Sosa.
Yeah. It helps if they like something about you, those judges, because they do have a voice in who goes and who stays.
Yeah, and I'll say that he was in the bottom two for the men this week. I have a feeling he's going to be safe next week.
Yeah.
Just because of the shiny chest.
Yeah. But I didn't realize you can get 20 votes and just split them up any way you want online.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get 20 votes online, 20 votes on the app. You can get 20 more votes on the app if you use, you vote on your tablet or you vote on your phone. You can do both. You can vote on your phone. So as I've joked before, I think in a blog item, if you have a bunch of burner phones like The Wire, then you can vote as many times as you want in between drug deals, which is an underrated fan base for So You Think You Could Dance, I'm sure.
Right. But no, I just felt I said I'm going to try this because I haven't for so long. So I don't even know how I voted. It must have been online, but it was not quite as easy back then. It was kind of a little more complicated. I don't know if they gave you that many votes either. So anyway, but okay, back to the dancing. So tell your favorite routine.
Yeah, mine was the one that closed the night, Bailey Munoz and Mariah Russell. I liked them a lot last week. I don't know if they were my favorite last week the way they were this week. But they were so good. And as it started, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. And it was getting better, and it was getting better. And then by the time Mariah is like on the stage doing like this twerk in a split, that I'm just like thinking, I was like, okay, yeah, they've got it. That it's them. And I thought that was so phenomenal, and it was so different. It had a similar kind of fun and flirty mood, but it was such a different style from last week's jazz number. They did hip hop this time, and I was just so much more impressed by them even than I was before. And so I agreed with the judges when they say, yeah, these are the two to beat. Madison was our front runner at goldderby.com in our odds based on our readers' predictions last week. And now I checked our very early odds. Predictions for next week have been open for only since last night. And now Mariah and Bailey are 1 and 2, which makes sense to me. Although I'd flip it. I personally moved my prediction over to Bailey. I think he's got that kind of lovable charm and charisma. He reminds me a little of Fiction in that way.
Yeah.
So I really think he might be the one to beat, but I think right now, yeah, those two are 1 and 2 in some order for me.
He doesn't drive.
Neither do I.
I'm sure he takes Ubers everywhere. So. But yeah. But now, how about the rest?
See, that's the interesting thing. The Bailey and Mariah closed the night, and it had been such a good night. Like before that, I probably would have said that Gino and Stephanie's jive that started the night would have been my favorite, because that was just outstanding and so much fun. And at first I thought it looked a little hectic, but yeah, I rewatched it again when I was writing an article about that routine specifically, and I was like, maybe a little bit with a slight turn in the end, it could have been a little cleaner, but otherwise, no, that was perfect. And I loved that jive so much. Gino had so much personality. I thought he had more personality than he got credit for in his hip-hop routine last week, but this week there was just no question at all. He was absolutely a star in that routine. If they had given that performance last week, it would have been the best performance of the week.
You know, she helped him more than you know.
Oh, absolutely, because she's a ballroom dancer and bringing him up to her speed.
Right, and she probably spent so much time doing that, helping him figure it out, because you don't kick your legs like that on a normal basis, right?
No, especially contemporary. Contemporary is so much flowier and softer and smoother, and you know, a jive, especially for ballroom, is very fast, very like little small intricate movements, and such, like you have to move your feet in such a swift way as opposed to that flowing way. And he was so good at it, but so was she, which is another reason I'm still so just baffled by the fact that she was eliminated.
Yeah. No, I don't get it either. I mean, but the show's always that way. However, they did use more props this week, so I give them props for the props, okay?
Yeah. Speaking of which, you know, Sophie, Pittman, and Eddie Hoyt, before Eddie was eliminated, they did a contemporary routine. They only had one prop, but it was the mattress, but they used it well.
Yeah.
It was a Travis Wall choreographed routine. It was contemporary, which was a lot more comfortable for Eddie to do. I could tell, everyone could tell. And I loved that they got to do a routine that was so well received and so well choreographed, you know, for him to go out on, because I had a sinking feeling he was probably doomed too, because you know, if he was in the bottom 2, then I didn't think there was anyone the judges would keep him around for. So as soon as they announced he was in the bottom 2, I'm like, oh, well, it was nice knowing you, Eddie, but thank you for the memories, because he was so good over the course of the season. And it was a really great number to go out on. Again, if that had been performed last week, it would have been one of the best of the night. Mm-hmm. So it's just unfortunate for him that the quality was so high. Which brings us to, I think, the last one we're talking about, which is interesting. It wasn't bad, but compared to the other ones, it was kind of forgettable, which was the Anna and Benjamin hip-hop routine, which was in like a jewelry store or something. Like, or were they robbing the jewelry store? I couldn't quite tell. But it was a solid routine. But again, they performed right smack dab in the middle of the show, and it just wasn't as memorable. And I noticed in our poll, you know, I always ask at the end of the show which duet was the best. And that routine, the hip-hop routine for Anna and Benjamin, is in last place with 5% of the vote. But I don't think it was because it was bad. It's because it just kind of didn't rise above the others, how strong they were and how well you remember them at the end of the night.
Yeah. Oh, they were a couple who won the lottery.
So they were trying on.
The song had something about a lottery. I don't know. These hip-hop songs, you barely have more than 5 lyrics or something. They could repeat them. And they call the rhythm that's going on. But no, I thought this was a good show this week. But especially, I really liked, how many Emmys does Travis have?
He has 2. He's currently nominated for the 9th time. So, right now he's nominated for the work he did last season in 2018. So he has 2. If he wins another one, it would tie him for the most choreography Emmys in the history for any individual.
If he was the one with the most, considering whatever dance shows or whatever get nominated.
Yeah, he has the second most nominations, tied with Derek Hough at 9. Debbie Allen has 11, so she's the only one with more. And there's like a 6-way tie of choreographers over the years who've won 3 times, but no one has won more than 3, so he would join that tie.
Yeah. But I thought his opening number was quite, brave to do. And for those who may not have seen it, in dance form showed how it would feel if in the class and without it being trite or kind of off-putting, it actually really the dancers did a job to capture what the chaos is and how you feel and how you try to be there for each other in this horrible time. And then they turned around and they took off the t-shirt. This is the Fox network, not that the TV shows have anything to do with politics usually. This was like a new thing for them to do. I don't remember them protesting much, except if Happy Feet didn't get enough air contributions.
I had a chance to talk to Travis on Friday. I interviewed him about his Emmy nomination, and he was working on the routine at the time, so I knew it was coming because he mentioned what it was about, and so I wasn't sure how they were going to execute it because he's done routines that touched on like social issues before. He did one to Strange Fruit a few seasons ago that was incredibly intense. And last season, one of the routines he's nominated for now was It Takes a Lot to Know a Man, which is about gender expression. So he's really gone for it in that case. I was worried about how presenting that through dance would be conveyed. I just had these images of Madonna's God Control video, the recent video that sort of tried to take a stance on gun violence by kind of replicating a kind of Pulse-like shooting. And I thought it was so grotesque and so poorly thought out and insensitive in the execution. And this was the opposite. I thought Travis Wald, it was subtle. It didn't feel exploitive, which is the most important thing. Like when you see a moment where one of the dancers will fall back to imitate what it looks like to be shot. Like it was done occasionally, like in these little bursts of panic and fear, but with subtlety and power. But it wasn't overt in the sense that it felt like it was exploiting tragedy for the sake of the artwork. It really felt like in service of the kind of humanity of it.
Well, I never did before, but perfect. I always use closed captions when I watch TV because stuff happens and I want to be able to know what's going on. But the Harry Styles song I've heard before, but if you get the word to it, it was the perfect Uber, and it captured the food perfectly what they were trying to do without like being exploitative or silly or just this isn't getting the message out very well, but I thought he did a great job. I bet he gets nominated for this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He's nominated fairly consistently, and this feels like one to put on a reel. And he also has good taste in music. He choreographed that routine to Harry Styles' Sign of the Times. And I remember when I first heard Sign of the Times when it came out last year. I'm like, that sounds like a very unusual song for a former One Direction member to put out. Like, it's very unlike what they had done as a band. And then after that, the routine he choreographed for Eddie and Sophie was to Billie Eilish's When the Party's Over, which I also love. And I'm just like, oh, that is such a perfect song for like a Travis Wald routine. I should have known he would choreograph the song to When the Party's Over.
Yeah. just in time for her to overtake your favorite countries.
I love Billie Eilish, so I'm very, very happy for her that she finally picked #1. It's like about time because as much as I enjoy Old Town Road, it's like Billie has been waiting at the #2 spot on the Billboard charts for like literally 9 weeks, and so she finally got the top spot. That's going a little off topic, but if Travis wants to choreograph a routine to Old Town Road, I am all for it. I'm fascinated by what that would look like, but I'm all for it.
Well, I do have a think that the music used in Stephanie's number, because it's like, what was it? Was it Elvis? It was a rock,
I can't, yeah, it was something, sort of 50s.
rock and roll. And gas station, like, oh, let's dance because I'm getting gas for my lawnmower or whatever she's getting it. And I don't know, okay. I don't really, I don't know if I would fall in love with someone at a gas station, but it would happen. I don't know.
Like dance like Gino and Stephanie, I might, I mean, I wouldn't be able to match them. I would just sort of like do jazz hands at them and see if,
Yeah.
whatever they're doing. I don't have, that. I have decent rhythm, but I don't have that.
I wonder how many times they've used a mattress in a number too.
I mean, it's a simple prop, and in terms of representing a bed, it seems
right. Well, he had a whole rash of doors because then you can get mad and shut it, and or play with it. Walls. There's more to come, I hope.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we're not done with props and set dressing by any stretch of the imagination. So now that we're down to the top 8, who do you think is next to be eliminated? Because I think that's actually a tough call.
Oh God! Well, they're never going to get rid of Sophie. I don't know. She doesn't do that much for me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with her. It's just I don't get chills, but she's doing her thing. I just never have, and she must have paid off a judge. I don't know. Maybe she's related. They don't. There's that going on. But anyway, but seriously, who would they get rid of?
I think the fact that Sophie was safe, she wasn't even in the bottom 2, and it was for a much weaker routine, the jazz funk routine. I think she'll probably be fine. I feel like because their routine wasn't as memorable, and it did get criticized by Lorianne, I think Benjamin and Anna are in trouble. Yeah, I think if Anna was in trouble this week, I think she'll be in trouble again next week. And I think then they might finally eliminate her, because I don't know who they'd keep her for. Although you never know. Like, let's say if she is in the bottom 2 with Sophie, which actually makes sense because I think Mariah and Madison are probably likelier to have higher votes. So let's say she's in the bottom 2 with Sophie. I can see them eliminating Sophie, but if you're in the bottom 2 twice in a row and you haven't wowed them, I feel like they're going to be like, okay, we'll let America have its say and say goodbye to Anna. Depending on what they do next week, Anna could have a masterpiece routine next week that changes their mind, or Sophie could be fall over,
trip over
herself and just be completely a disaster. Unlikely, but you never know. Everyone has good days, everyone has bad days, so it all depends. But I feel like Benjamin and Anna might be both at risk, even though this week there was no couple where both of them were at the bottom. There were 4 couples where one was safe and one was at the bottom, and then Mariah and Bailey, they were both safe. And I have a feeling they're both going to be safe again. They closed the show, rave reviews. I think they're going to be fine going through the next round. Everyone else, it's a question of which 4 of those 6 will be at the bottom.
Well, I still think Madison is on top, but I'll look at your results.
I think she'll be safe. I think really I really think the bottom 2 girls are going to be Sophie and Anna, and the bottom 2 guys are probably going to be Benjamin. And I mean, Gino had a great week and he was safe last week, so I think probably Ezra again.
All right, that makes sense.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe Gino, because he was safe this week, his fans will think he'll be easily safe, so they won't vote as hard for him this time around. He'll be in the bottom two. But that happens sometimes. So, yeah.
Last year, there was a time where they would vote, but then they'd look at the routine and it was already over. You knew who was like not safe or something early in the show. Like did they have 2 shows? It was like something that they fixed it basically because now the judges chime in more. I think I don't know if they always save people in this way.
They have for the last couple of seasons, I think, where they pick like the bottom 4 and then based on the America's votes, and then the judges choose who they'll save from the bottom 2.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a hybrid style where, yes, it's America's vote, but the judges still have a say at this point. I think when it gets to the top 6, then the judges no longer have a say, and it's all down to voters, however those numbers come up, that's what the result is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I hope they do something. For now, the concepts have been okay. I wish they would stick. Should I say I miss Broadway because that one choreographer, I forget his name, he doesn't show up anymore.
Well, Travis Roll has been known to do Broadway. He's been branching out into that, so I could see him doing a Broadway routine before the end.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe they'll watch this and do it. So.
Yes, every So You Think You Can Dance producer is a hardcore fan of these video recaps. I'm sure. And if you are a So You Think You Can Dance producer and you do watch these recaps, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what your plans are for Broadway routines in the future. But until then, thank you, Susan, for joining me, and thank you to everyone for watching. You can make your predictions for So You Think You Can Dance at goldderby.com. A new predictions event every week predict who will win the show. That will, of course, be resolved at the end of the season. Who will be eliminated in each episode, and who will be in the bottom but safe in each episode. So who will be in jeopardy like Ezra and Anna were this week and saved by the judges. So until next week, thank you very much, and we will see you then.